have a lot of examples of this, but like one of my favorites for like what does it look like when someone does try to do it alone. I actually had a client who had taken a break without me and then years later came back and took a break with support. And so I can tell you very succinctly the difference between her 2 breaks. Are you ready?
Yes, go.
Okay. First break she took, very much needed. I think she originally was planning about 6 months of her break. So she starts this break. 2 weeks in, she starts panicking. She's not feeling comfortable. She's really worried about being able to get back to work. She was like very uncomfortable with the idea of being on a break and felt like she didn't know what to do with her time. And she was like, every minute that I spend not working is going to add up to like 5 times that amount of time trying to find a job. And basically 7 weeks into her 6-month break, she pulled the plug and she was like, I'm done. I'm going back to work. And she went back to work, right? She did not enjoy those 7 weeks. It wasn't like she had a 6-week vacation. It was like stressful. It was uncomfortable. It was panic inducing, like everything. And at 7 weeks, she just could not take the stress of it and decided to just go back to work. So unsurprisingly, a few years later, she's burnt out again. And she's like, I didn't even really take a real break the first time.
Welcome to Taking a Career Break with Katrina and McGhee, the show for high achievers who are feeling burned out, unfulfilled, and ready to dream big.
Hi there, I'm Katrina, your career break and sabbatical coach, author of the best-selling Taking a Career Break for Dummies, and your co-host.
And I'm James Hammond, your co-host and producer. If you are ready to take a life-changing break for a happier, healthier, and a more fulfilling life, then you're in the right place.
I'm going to break down my proven framework that has helped over 200 clients achieve transformative breaks. Are you ready to change your life? Let's go.
Before we dive in, if you are a regular listener and you enjoy this free podcast, please give us a positive 5-star review. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or any of the podcast apps that you listen on.
Or share this episode with a friend who really needs it so we can keep this great podcast going. Okay, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to episode 75. And we're going to roughly translate this one into, do you need a coach for your career break or sabbatical? Katrina, how are you doing?
I'm so good, James. Episode 75, what?
It's a milestone.
It really is. I'm so impressed with us.
Do you know what? It feels like we haven't even started yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Say more about that, please.
Maybe the listeners disagree. I'm not sure. Yeah, it seems like 5 minutes ago since we started. Yeah, it's gone quick. Can't believe it's been like 18 months-ish?
Yeah, we've been working on it for 2 years, actually, because we started in the summer of 2024. But to the audience, yes, it's been about 18 months now. I just have to say, I feel like in some ways it feels like 5 years and in other ways it feels like 1 year. But I feel like we've talked about so many things. Like we've covered a lot of stuff. And I was going back through our podcast catalog the other day and I'm like, wow, we've really talked about a whole rainbow of things on the show.
Covered a lot of bases at different times, different things within the career break space. And I feel like we've got some exciting stuff coming for the rest of the year. And that's part of the episode today. So can you give us some context about why you want to discuss if someone does maybe need to, employ someone to kind of help them to be
when
on a
do
career
you
break?
know that you need one? How do you know that you need one? Of course. So, okay, first of all, I've been having a lot of conversations. I'm having them every single week with people where the entire point of what we're trying to do is figure out their next right step for their break, wherever they are in the journey. Some people are considering and terrified. Some people are considering and about ready to pull the trigger on a break, but not quite sure. But people are planning, about to starting, navigating, re-entering, all the things, right? And a big piece of that conversation, which is, the free discovery calls I do, is also figuring out, do they actually need a coach? So that's what I'm doing and talking about like every single week with new people all the time. And some people, the right answer, right, is to DIY it, which is why the book exists. Which is why this podcast exists, right? People are using Google and now they're like largely using AI. Some people are following other people on like Instagram and YouTube. But it's really a question of, do I need a coach? Because a lot of people might not know what the heck a career break coach does, what a sabbatical coach does. And it feels like a really big miss to have a podcast with a person who literally does this for a living, but never actually talk about, what do I do? How do I help people? And after 9 years and over 200 breaks, I can also tell you what is going to separate people that are just going to have a nice break or sometimes a disappointing break experience from the people that truly have a life-changing break, right? And like I've seen that up close so many times, it also feels like a miss to not talk about that. So that's what we're going to dive into today. And as you mentioned and alluded to, James, I'm really excited because we've got something really big that we're going to share with you that is coming very, very, very soon at the end of our episode today.
Great. Okay. So let's crack on with this episode and we'll come to that at the end because it's very
Okay.
exciting. What do people get most wrong about going alone for a career break? I mean, it's a big thing to accept in your mind that you're going to get some help, right? Whether
Hmm.
that could be anything, not just career breaks, but anything in life, right?
Yeah.
But what do they get wrong, do you think, about career breaks and going alone, do you think?
Yeah. Well, so first preface, right? Like, not every single person will need or want a coach, right? And I just want to say, like, this whole podcast was built around the book, Taking a Career Break for Dummies. And I wrote that book and we do this podcast because I want to support people on the journey. And for some people, doing it themselves is their path. So there's no gatekeeping in the book, there's no gatekeeping on this podcast. But I want to talk about the gap, right? So, what do people get wrong? I want to talk about the gap between knowing what to do and actually being able to do it. So when you think about what people are most often getting wrong from what I see, it's that they're thinking the logistics are the hardest part, right? They're like, logistics, that's 90% because it is big, right? Like
Mm.
thinking about how am I going to afford it? How am I going to save money for it? Talking to my boss, telling people about my news, figuring out what I want to do with my time, understanding how I'm going to set myself up for a successful reentry and not turn this into like a career destroying move. Those things really do matter and they are big things. I have sessions. I've had many, many sessions that tackle these topics, but misconception. Truly, the hardest part is going to be what is happening inside of your head. It's going to be the
Yeah.
mindset. It's going to be the fear that you're committing career suicide. It's going to be the guilt you feel for taking a break. It's going to be the guilt you feel for leaving your team. It's going to be the incredible unease you feel with your downtime and the anxiety you feel and the resistance you feel to boredom or feeling like you don't know what to do with a free afternoon, the inability to be able to get clear and be able to articulate what you actually want and then give yourself permission to go get it. It's about the identity crisis, which is a huge one, right?
Yeah.
When you're no longer the VP or the director or a lawyer or a doctor or, a marketing lead, whatever your thing is, when you remove that title and you remove the one thing that was consuming the majority of your waking hours, like who are you and what do you want? And it's some of the like unexpected things like the self-doubt spiral that you're going to feel probably 2 to 3 weeks before your break starts when you're like, oh my God, what have I done? It's about to
Yeah.
start. Like, is it too late to change my mind? And then also the self-doubt spiral that you might feel 2 months after your break has gone into like do mode and you're going forward. We talked about this on a previous episode, but it's like, the first 60 to 90 days are really critical. And it's not uncommon to kind of have a panic and feel like you need to be like, should I be job searching? Should I be networking? Should I be
Mm.
upskilling now that I've had like a little bit of rest? So it's all of these things that are happening kind of under the hood, behind the scenes, that people just don't even know how to plan for because it's not prescriptive the way that saving X amount of dollars is, or knowing exactly what to say to your boss when you're ready to give your notice. So I think people need to know that it's the hardest part. I think that's why career break coaching is a thing. I think that's why it's important, is because it goes beyond the logistics, which you can oftentimes find resources for to help
Yeah.
you solve. And I just know from seeing this so many times, the intangible stuff is the stuff that's going to derail your break. It is the thing that is going to put you back into a new version of your old life that you no longer wanted. And truly, it is almost impossible to navigate this bridge alone because you can't see your stuff, right? Like you can't see your own blind spots. You can't depend on rational clarity in a moment where your brain is highly triggered and telling you you are fighting for your survival. Like you are not bringing online your critical thinking skills and your sort of like higher self. And so I think those are the things that make coaching valuable, and that's what you're risking whenever you do it alone. So I think the planning, the logistics, doing it alone, I get that, but I think there's a lot more to it that people don't always know until they're kind of knee deep in it.
Yeah, I keep thinking accountability is a big one, right? Because when I do some like editing for other podcasts and these guys do their own podcasts, right? I'm like, oh, you
Mhm.
can learn this. And it's not that hard, really, if you put a bit of time in. But I guess they
Mhm.
just want the accountability of me doing it, and also it gets done right. I guess they don't trust themselves to get it done. I guess with career breaks, I mean, what does it actually look like when someone tries to go alone? Because for me, it's very easy to like get this podcast, get your book, read stuff on LinkedIn to do this
Yeah.
career break, right? It just isn't quite enough, is it? It just that it's
Yeah.
accountability. You need accountability. Someone say, "Well, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to be there." You know, you need someone to do that, right? Surely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's like when the patterns are overtaking you, your brain is like always making it an exception. It's like you're doing the thing that you've always done that you know doesn't work, but your brain is like, this time is different. This time we have to do it this way. This time I promise there is absolutely no other way that we could possibly navigate this challenge. I swear to God, I'm telling you the one thing that you need to do to survive, you know? And it's simply not true. So I have a lot of examples of this, but like one of my favorites for like what does it look like when someone does try to do it alone. I actually had a client who had taken a break without me and then years later came back and took a break with support. And so I
Okay.
can tell you very succinctly the
Mm,
difference between her two breaks. Are you ready?
yeah. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. First break she took, very much needed. I think she originally was planning about 6 months of her break. So she starts this break. 2 weeks in, she starts panicking. She's not feeling comfortable. She's really worried about being able to get back to work. She was like very uncomfortable with the idea of being on a break and felt like she didn't know what to do with her time. And she was like, every minute that I spend not working is going to add up to like 5 times that amount of time trying to find a job. And basically, 7 weeks into her 6 month break, she pulled the plug and she was like, I'm done. I'm
Wow.
going back to work. And she went back to work, right? She
Yeah.
did not enjoy those 7 weeks. It wasn't like she had a six
Yeah.
week vacation. It was like stressful. It was uncomfortable. It was panic inducing, like everything. And at 7 weeks, she just could not take the stress of it and decided to just go back to work. So, unsurprisingly, a few years later, she's burnt out again. And she's like, I didn't even really take a real break the first time. And she had a lot of fear coming into it. Like, we actually ended up doing 2 discovery calls, which I don't normally do, but she really wanted support. And I could see that in her, but she also had so much fear. And a lot of her fear was based on her last experience. And she was like, I can't do that again. I can't do the false start. And also, I viscerally know what it feels like to hate the experience of being on a break. And so I'm scared it's going to feel like that. So we did work together, did the blueprint, all the things, right? Some life coaching. And she took a break that went close to a year. She was in Italy multiple times to spend time with extended family. She explored new options for her career. She got certified in tarot, which is like, I didn't even know you could do
Oh.
that. A freaking, I know. I was like, what?
Okay.
Super fun. She even did a tarot
Yeah.
reading for me. But like, but also more importantly, she came back feeling really recharged, right? So she worked in the line of therapy and was just really burnt out. I mean, that's a heavy role to carry and that's a big
Yeah.
job to do. And so she was able to come back recharged and excited and ultimately like be able to give herself that permission to rest and enjoy her life, which she was not able to access before. So, I mean, that's kind of the difference, right? It's the permission, the validation. It is the planning. We did a blueprint. That was a really critical part of it to have a structure, but it really was about the permission and the like very like a surgeon, right? Like cutting out those like moments of self-sabotage and just sort of being able to like give somebody to cut out the cancer, right? To cut out the brain's bad thoughts that are going to sabotage your break.
Okay. So someone might be listening to that thinking, well, what does a career break coach actually do?
I know. I'm so curious, James. I'm going to answer this question, but like, I don't even think maybe like, because you hear me talk about like client examples, but like, I was like, actually,
Yeah.
like, I don't know that you even know. I
Not
mean, do you
really.
feel
No.
like you know? I'm just curious. Like, do
uh,
you feel like you know? You might know.
I have an idea. Yeah. A little
Okay.
idea. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll test it. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, you're going to rate how accurate your idea was. Okay. I'll tell you what they do,
Okay.
and then okay. All
Yeah.
right. So, here's what I'll say. Right. First of all, I just want to go back to like if you are somebody who wants to DIY it, I want to give you like a preface on who is good for DIYing versus who is really like good for coaching. So, okay, if you're already clear on why you need this break, like you have an ironclad, like super tight purpose statement, you feel very clear. You don't feel any kind of way about it. Doesn't bother you when people challenge that or have questions about it. If you have a strong level of self-awareness, like other people might have even commented that you do, and you think that you have the ability to see your life in a broader perspective than just kind of like the moment, the rut, the like trials and tribulations that you're currently in. If you have a solid support system, so you might have other people in your corner that you feel like you can depend on for really good support. To the point that you mentioned earlier, if you're really great with accountability and holding yourself to challenging things and showing up for yourself even when you don't want to. And specifically, if you are not battling the deeper identity stuff, or you're not really going to require sort of that more intense burnout recovery, then you might be totally fine on your own. The book, the podcast, like those things are all great. If you're not stuck in your own head, you can basically like figure that out in your own way. But if you're delaying, or you feel like you can't get clear, or you're facing, that identity stuff, that burnout recovery, I think support then through career break coaching is a great choice. So here we go. Okay, what does it actually do and what does it look like? At a high level, what it does is it is a blend, at least the way that I do it, it is a blend of career break consulting, meaning the strategy, the planning, the framework, the logistics. Having seen 200 freaking breaks, I know, right? How to adapt the plan to fit you in your specific situation. And so it's really about like the tactical, practical stuff that moves you one step forward each step of the way, and knowing what to expect, kind of like looking ahead and being like, caution, watch out. There's a pothole up there. There's a sharp bend up there, like just knowing what to expect.
Hmm.
And so that's like a really important piece of it. So like all of that, but it's also life coaching. I'm a certified life coach. I'm actually a master certified life coach. And truly the work that lights me up is when somebody wants to change something about their life. It might be their job. It might be how their job and work fit into their life, but it might also be that they want to stop being a people pleaser. It might be that they just don't know how to hold boundaries with work and other things. It might be that they just struggle to give themselves permission to rest and feel like they have to always be doing and achieving to be successful, or that fear has literally designed their whole life, and their life is sort of built on a bunch of right decisions that society would say are great decisions, but that don't actually move them towards the life they want. And so in these circumstances, life coaching is what you need, right? It's not about practical planning at all. So that's kind of how I would describe what coaching is. But on a more like tactical level, if you were to like feel like you were sitting in a session with me, there's a lot of prep work, right? And logistical stuff that we do. The break blueprint is a structure. So in that very first session, no matter where you start with me, if you're navigating, returning, planning, considering, does not matter. We're always going to do the foundation of your blueprint. We're always going to make sure you know your purpose statement and your 3 to 4 themes for your break. We're going to talk about money stuff if that is on your mind. Actually, a lot of my clients, it's not. They either have financial advisors that are much more in the weeds of their money, or they've already sort of figured out the money situation and now feel like they have permission to get coaching and make their break real. So like I'm finding that surprisingly over the years, more and more of my clients don't actually need financial support. Some want to talk through things for sure, but like they don't need like a hand holding through that process because they either have it covered or they have other people. But I mean, that's definitely something, that could be there. But one of the like biggest moments that I am always coaching people through when they're considering or planning is actually giving their notice and knowing how to say
Yeah, big one.
the hard thing. Yeah, the hard
Mm.
thing. And so what coaching basically looks like is that first session, there's prep work. You come, we kind of do a very, not scripted, but like a very directed session where I'm kind of guiding you through it. But every session after that is much more like life coaching, where I'm asking you, like, what's on your mind? I definitely have a process, but when I work with people in intermission, the process goes on the shelf. Like, it's always there to pull from, but it's really about what are you struggling with? So I have a client, one of the biggest breakthroughs, I honestly think she would say it was like the biggest breakthrough for her. If it wasn't, it would be tied for first place. Was a random session where we talked about her sort of like long held belief from basically childhood that people just didn't really like want to be her friend, that like she
Huh.
just felt like she didn't really belong. And that, like people just found her annoying, which is so crazy because she's so hilarious. I mean, she's definitely quirky, but in the best way. And she's so funny. And I really loved all of our sessions, right? But figuring out that thought in one of our sessions, I was like, hold up, wait, what? And so we spent the whole session going deep on this thought. And to her credit, she did like this whole mindset shift where we replaced the bad thought with a much more permission giving thought. And she went out and did her homework and executed it to like level 1000. And by the time she came back 2 weeks later, she was like, I did this, I went out to this event, I had this, whatever. And she was like, it's so crazy. I'm starting to make friends. And I mean, this woman's like, she's in her 40s like me, right? So like it can be harder sometimes to feel like you're making friends. And she's like, I'm making friends and people seem to enjoy hanging out with me. And it's the wildest thing. And it set her on this trajectory to experience life in a whole new way. And I think that is like the best freaking feeling I could ever have as a life coach is it's not just about, did you have a great break? Do you feel good with how your break ended and what you came back to? But it's like, did I change your life? Did you change your life? Did we change your life? Like, is your life so good now that it kind of becomes this bifurcation where there's like life before the break and then there's your life after the break. And so it really is conversational. It's a lot of questions. It's a lot of deep dives. It's sometimes doing pre-work, homework, after and in between sessions. But it's really about digging under the surface and going like 3 levels deeper to what are the patterns and thoughts that are keeping me stuck? And then what are the practical like next steps or experiments that we could run to help me bust through some of the obstacles that have created the situation that I needed to take a break from in the first place. If you're dreaming of your own career break or sabbatical, or if you're on one right now, I want you to know about the one place that's designed to give you everything you need, Breakspace. It's your launch pad for a life-changing break. Inside, you'll find courses to build your break blueprint and redesign your life. Plus, there's live coaching calls, expert-led masterclasses on everything from finance to re-entry, and a global community with dozens of people on the same exact journey. You don't have to do this alone. We've supported hundreds of breaks, and yours could be next. Find out more and learn how to join us at gobreakspace.com.
Well,
okay, what do you think? Is that like similar, not similar?
Yeah, let's do 5 or 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was there anything in there that was surprising?
No, I actually want to mention, you mentioned your case studies there. We do have an audience that do fit that sort of age bracket, right? We were mentioning before recording that most people listening to this podcast are in that sort of, I guess, early to mid 30s to mid to late 40s. That's the bracket, right? So I think this is not like young people just coming out of university, or this is like people who have been in careers and jobs for 15, 20 years, right? And it's just, that's the audience that we have. So I think these all make sense. And it will also make sense is they need someone to help because it's been so long. But it's not just been 5 years since you weren't working to working, right? It's double, triple, quadruple that. So it makes sense that these people need help.
Yeah,
I just want to say
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a long time and a large investment and level of commitment that they've had in doing life one way and being committed to their careers that they're building. And I think that's another piece of it. It's like coaching is about building your confidence in prioritizing your needs and prioritizing your well-being, because we believe that we have to sacrifice to get the job done, and then we have time for ourselves. And it's actually the opposite. Like if you don't prioritize yourself, the job will never fully get done, and if it does, it's at the very large expense of your well-being. And I just really believe that like you've got to design a life that fits you and that makes space for you. And so I don't want people to feel lost, alone in the dark. And also one of my superpowers, as evidenced by multiple clients telling me, is I'm relentlessly positive, but not like in a fake toxic way, but truly. Some people have never been cheerleaded as an adult, and it really shows. It really shows.
It's quite sad, really. Yeah.
I mean, truly, like everything they do, they're like, yeah, but it's not enough. And it's like, no, hold on. We've got 5 minutes. We're going to sit here and talk about how freaking awesome you are, but in a very genuine way. And I swear, I think on every client engagement I've ever had, at some point, a client will be like, wow, well, when you say it like that, and you play it back to me, I guess what I did kind of was a big deal. And I'm like, hell yeah, it was. Hell yeah, it was. Right. But I think it's really just about having that outside perspective. And, I love dropping a good example. sometimes it's not even about the planning and the prepping and the confidence boosting up front. I have a client now who actually took a break, and travel was his main thing. So he took a break, immediately went to Europe, fulfilled like this teenage unfulfilled dream of just traveling abroad in Europe for 3 months, had an epic experience, but came back thinking, well, now that the 3 months in Europe is over, I guess it's time to go back to work. But he was feeling just as drained as he had felt
Yeah.
when the break started, right? And burnout was a really big reason why he decided to take this break. And he was like, I don't feel ready to go back to work. And I really am kind of like nervous because I don't know what's missing and I don't know what I need to get ready. And so he ended up finding me and then we started working together. And his break, he's now officially in reentry, but his break was almost a year long. So like
Wow.
we made that happen, like another 6 to 8 months since he hired me. And there were so many amazing things like relocating and building a new community and getting really clear on what he wanted to do next, that like he was going to skip all that stuff just to like get back to work. So I think it's so important to have somebody to say, you matter. Like, what do you need? Because maybe what you need right now is to not go back to work.
Don't we all?
I
Okay.
know.
So if someone's looking to book a call with you to get this started,
Yeah.
what are they walking into?
Yeah. Well, okay. They are basically going to set up a call and we're just going to talk about stuff, right? Like that first conversation, if it's a discovery call and you're like, I want to maybe work with you, but I want to know more, it's really just an informational conversation where we're going to figure out like what's going on. I mean, truly, that's the only way I could even know if I can really help someone is first we have to figure out what's really going on because I
Mm.
need to know where do
Yeah.
you feel stuck. And then I truly try to figure out what is going to get you unstuck. And a lot of times working with me as a coach is a great next step, but sometimes it's not. I actually refer some people to career coaches because I think, especially people that are in more of a reentry phase, I think that's more aligned to what they're looking for, which is like the collateral and, the tangible asset upgrade, like my resume and my LinkedIn profile and things like that. But I really just need to figure out what is going on, how long has it been going on, and what is it that you actually want to achieve. Now, if you were to book an intensive with me or get started, because all of the intermission work also starts with an intensive. So the only way to start with me, whether you're doing it for just the intensive or the intermission package, is through an intensive. Like that is going to be, we're going to start with my favorite thing. And I will say this, James, if I could only do one thing, if you told me I could only do one thing for the rest of my career, that had to be like the biggest impact I could make as a career break coach, it would absolutely be helping people set up and pressure test their purpose statement and themes. And I kind of hate that my answer is so basic, but like I've done this so many times. That foundation is mind-blowingly like life-changing because most people cannot honestly and clearly articulate what they need,
Yeah. That's
especially
true.
from a break, but just in life, right?
Hmm.
And I've seen it 1,000 different shades and 1,000 different colors. That purpose statement and those themes become the compass for everything. How do you spend this time? How do you tell people about your break? How do you give your notice? How do you know if your break is working? How do you know if you need to pivot and do something different on your break because it's not working? How do you know when to end your break? How do you know if you should accept a job that came sooner than you expected and you're 6 months into a 12-month break and you're not sure if you should take that job or not? Like making the decision to actually take a break, literally, or extend time for longer, like literally all of it always comes back to purpose and themes, which is why we always have to start there, no matter like who I'm working with. But that is absolutely something that we're going to do on a first call, like as a session, because that's like, I mean, if that's all I ever did, I think I would still change lives just doing that.
But could people just do this with a friend or a family member? Like go through these themes?
I love that. Yes, you could. You absolutely could. And I actually feel like what has been really interesting for me on this is working with our members in Break Space because I give personal feedback to anybody that posts their purpose statement or themes in the
Hmm.
community. And they get it. We get a lot of good first drafts, right? Like people getting like 75, 80% of the way there, sometimes 50%. Some people are just like, I'm really stuck. But what is fascinating is it's the tweaks and the nuance that people just can't get because I have a gift for this and I'm not like I don't know if it's intuition. I think some of it is intuition. I think some of it is pattern recognition. But like, truly, I know how to dig deeper in your purpose. Some people corporate speak it to death. They try to make it sexy. They try to make it an elevator
Mm,
pitch. Barf. This is
yeah.
about you and your truth. Like, do not spew at me corporate stuff. Like, but they don't know how to disconnect, right? Because that's how they've been talking and thinking their whole life. And it's like, oh my God, I'm scared to take this break. I have to have a very clear and very sexy sounding, like, impressive sounding like reason for taking it. But that's not centering them. Other people center work by accident. So they make their purpose statement all about work. I want to redefine my relationship to work. And it's like, great. You could do that while you're still working. Like,
Yeah.
why are you really taking this break? Right. And it's more about you, and work is like a byproduct versus like being the center of the universe. And then sometimes people just list out the things they want to do. I want to rest. I want to recharge. I want to dream bigger about my life. Those are not bad things. Those are themes though. And so sometimes people struggle to even know what the purpose is, because like, why do you want to do those things? What are you risking if you don't do those things? Right. Those are the types of questions. So I think people really have a big shift when they can hear their truth reflected back at them. And I just think like sometimes the people that love you are not trained in this. So they don't know how to help you get
True.
crystal clear on it and be able to basically tell you like, this is exactly what you're really needing. It's like a superpower that I have. So yeah.
And what is the deal with permission? Why is it so hard, do you think, for people to give themselves permission to work with you or anyone really?
Yeah. I mean, permission is like, I feel like permission, if I had a password to work with me, it would be like permission, because
Yeah.
it comes up 1,000 different ways, right? And I mean, humans, I think in general are, like we're herd mentality. So like
Hmm.
on some level, we're looking for permission from the herd to make sure that we're not going to be ostracized and left to die on our own. Like our brains have not evolved, as fast as society has. So
Yeah.
let's talk about all the different flavors of permission, right? Of course, there's permission to take a break, permission to hire a coach, but there's also permission to not be productive for a small little blip in the radar of your life, permission to not be fully recovered from burnout after 4 months of a break. I have seen people really resist and struggle with the reality that they're not fully healed. And like, well, I thought it was going to be 4 months, or I thought it was going to be 3 or whatever, and it hasn't happened yet. And that can be really hard. Permission to want something different than everyone else around you seems to want, and permission to want something different than what everybody in your world expects of you, and to be okay with that. Permission to like be able to tell yourself that it's all okay, that doing it your way is okay. And I think, you know, it's really hard when you are living in a world where your self-worth has been tied to your achievement, your productivity. There's this huge element of people pleasing. In these situations, giving yourself permission feels like giving yourself permission to just like curl up and die, to throw your life away, to, like I said, deviate from the herd and go off and die. You know what I mean? Like in your brain, it's like very much wired to survival. And I feel like having somebody who is giving you permission to give yourself permission and validating a lot of what you're experiencing, not because she's just being fake positive, but because literally I've seen 200 other humans go through this, and I've done it twice myself. It's like, no, that's actually normal. I see that all the time. It's like a huge weight is lifted off of people's shoulders, and it's so much more accessible to be like, I can give myself permission to do this thing.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how do you know if you're ready to take on this challenge and hire someone to help them on their career break journey?
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, okay. So I am all about like people taking the time that they need. However, I find so many people think that they have to have things figured out before they talk to a coach. And it makes me sad, because that's literally what a coach is for. That's kind of like saying, I feel like I have to be a healed version of myself before I hire a therapist so that they don't have to look at my mess. Like, well, then why are you even hiring a therapist if you could just
Mm,
do that yourself? You know
true.
what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
that's the point. So I really feel like if you can't stop thinking about taking a break, or if you're on a break and you can't stop thinking about, am I doing this right? Or I really feel stuck and I need help, or like, I feel like there has to be a better way to do this, then like you can get a coach. You can at least talk to a coach to see if they could help you, right? Like
Yeah.
it is absolutely doable, and you're supposed to come with a mess. My best clients are people that come to me and like I call it telling on themselves, but basically when you're doing stuff that you're like, God, I'm doing it again. When they tell on themselves, that is where the breakthrough happens because it means that you have enough self-awareness to know that you shouldn't be doing this thing, but you're also being very brutally and comfortably honest with yourself to say, I'm doing that thing. And that has been true for me with my own coaches as well. Like when I tell on myself is where the real breakthrough happens, but like it's not about having it all together. It's like really wanting to move forward. So it's like all this pent up stuff, basically being like, I really want to move forward and I'm super stuck. Like it is a perfect time to at least do a consult discovery call with someone to be able to figure that out. And I will say, there's a note in here that I also want to say as we talk about like when to talk to a coach. I have seen people popping up lately who have different focus areas that are now like talking about career break coaching, sabbatical coaching, or you might even be listening to this thinking that like there are different types of resources that you're looking at. And I just want
Hmm.
to say, I would be remiss not to say, career break and sabbatical coaching is a specialty, right? It's not the same as being a general career coach or a life coach. All coaches can add value to your life, but all I do is career break coaching. I mean, with few exceptions from past clients that come back and are like, I love working with you. Can we do some life coaching? And I'm like, yes. But like 99% of what I do is career break and sabbatical coaching. And I've done it over 200 times. Okay. So like, I just want, when you're listening to this, I want to also caveat by saying like, if you want support on your break, finding a career break coach, a sabbatical coach is really important because it is its own specialty. And there are certain challenges, nuances, metrics, and just even like norms that people that don't do this would not know or could lead you astray, not having the context that like literally like we have working in it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like I have quit really good paying jobs. I've quit successful jobs with no like with no cushion. Like the first break I took, I had a cushion because I saved for it. The second one, I did not because it was very unexpected. It's important that you find someone that you connect with that you feel like has at least overcome some version of the fears that you're facing so that they can like really relate instead of just give you good advice that they haven't applied.
This is a good segue before we get into our last little announcement to end the episode. Obviously, if people want to get in contact with you, people do notice they have links in the show notes, but do you want to just share how they can get in contact and get the ball rolling if they want to get you as a coach?
Absolutely. Yes. Schedule a discovery call. They are free. They are currently free.
Hmm.
And it is really just a conversation. I'm really bad at sales. I don't know if I should say that, but like I'm really bad at sales. So like it really is just a conversation, partly because I'm bad at sales and I don't like doing it. So I just want to know you. I want to know what you're struggling with. And I want to know and figure out if I can help you. And if I can't, I will absolutely tell you because I'm bad at sales. But truly, like reach out. We have it in the show notes. Schedule a discovery call. I'm revamping my website, but that new website will be coming soon. But you can find my consult on there if you happen to be listening to this sometime over the summer. But really just a link in the show notes or, scroll around, meet me on LinkedIn, send me a DM, just find me, tell me, Katrina, can I schedule a free consult? Yes, of course you can. And I just want to say, before we reveal kind of like the big thing that's coming, if you are listening to this, I just want you to know, like, permission to reach out and connect. If you're thinking about a break, I have worked with people who have kids, who don't have kids. I've worked with people who are the sole breadwinner. I have worked with people who are dual income. I've worked with people whose spouses are working and then they have to struggle with the guilt of not working, but actually the finances are okay. I've worked with C-suite people. I have worked with clients that live abroad that are not like, you know, Americans. I've worked with people in the FIRE movement, which is like a whole different beast
Mm,
because you have access to the money, but permission to actually spend it or
yeah.
permission to delay the retirement by a couple of years so you can
Yeah.
enjoy your life now. I've worked with people who actually are retiring and want to use their break as a testing ground for what retirement could be. I've worked with men. I've worked with women. Every industry, right? I've worked with single people that have no safety net, like myself, and it's like this. Like, if this doesn't work, it's all on me. I've worked with people that have kids. I have worked with people whose family have thought that they were doing something crazy. And what I want you to know is every single one of them has had that break work. It has had a break. They have had a break that changed their life. So it is possible, right? I don't care what you think your situation or context is. Like, if you think you're some special unicorn, just talk to me, discovery call, right? Like we can talk about it. But truly, I've seen, I think, almost the entire rainbow of breaks. And there is a way to make it work if obviously you're able to either have the money or save the money, like I did, because I did not have the money at the time.
Okay, great. So this
Okay.
is a segue into our next announcement. I should feel like it'd be like a little jingle here or something.
I know, right? I know. Okay. I'm super excited, James. We've been hard at work on this. So you guys are going to hear it like ASAP. Like we're telling you about it and then it's pretty much happening. But we've been working on this behind the scenes for months, like months plural. So, okay. Today you heard me talk about like, what is career break coaching? All right. Like I get it kind of. But we are going to be dropping our first ever summer series. It is listener requested. Okay. You're going to be hearing from 10 of my past clients about their break journeys. So you're going to hear from real people. You're going to hear the real stories and you're going to hear the real results. And it's not all sunshine and roses, although obviously these people have happy endings because I'm here for the wins. I mean, I'm trying to give all my clients wins, but people struggle because it's humans. Like we're all living real life and they talk about the hard parts too. But you're going to get to, instead of hearing about it, actually hear from people who have lived it, who have coached with me, but also just taken breaks. And we're going to know what they were going through, what it took to actually do it. And I'm freaking excited because we have thoughtfully picked these people, right? Like to give you a breadth of stories and find something you can relate to and something that will grab you. So you're going to hear from one of my clients who turned down 6 figures to stay on her break longer. You're going to hear from a client that was so paralyzed by fear that his wife had to hire me for him because he couldn't even make the decision. So she was like, I'm calling an audible and we're hiring you. Which by the way was very scary for me, but I was like, I'm all in. I'm doing this. Like if he needs help, I'm in. A client who went from feeling numb every day to being excited about her life and building her dream home. And so like, I just want to bring this to life for you. So they're going to come on and they're going to tell you their stories. And I totally cashed in my coach chips to have regular people that do not live on podcast land, just give you a peek behind the curtain of their life. I mean, they're people that just live, normal, like entrepreneurial visibility type lives, but they really believe in the power of a break and the significance that the break had. And so at my very gentle request, they've agreed to come on.
And what I love about it is real stories, real life examples. We are in a world where a lot of people talk about stuff they don't actually do. So it's great to get some real life, tangible comparisons between what we say on the podcast each week compared to what has actually been done with your clients previously. So we have 10 coming up. That's 10 weeks worth of great material coming. I can't wait to share the episodes. And the first one is a week from today, as we release this one pretty much as we record it. So so it's going to be July 1st.
I'm so excited. Yes, July 1st, dropping the first one. We're coming in hot. That guest actually worked with me twice, once for a sabbatical and then a couple years later for a career break. So you'll get to hear about the difference between those two experiences, which I'm super excited for. But make sure that you're subscribed because I don't want you to miss it. And we're going to be dropping these like every week. It's like the whole summer is going to be a lot of inspiration and story about people who took breaks and kind of the ups and downs that they faced on it. And so like just be subscribed so that you don't forget and fall behind. And yeah, like if you're listening to all of this and thinking about like your own break and the break that you want to take or that you're on right now, like you don't have to wait till the series is over to talk to me. Like you can come talk to me at any time. I would love to hear what's going on with you. But if you want to know what it looks like or you just want some inspiration, you really, truly need to listen to the series. Like I'm very proud of what we have done, James. Like it's going to be so good.
Can't wait. And they get a little break from me because I won't be on them. It'll just be Katrina and her guest. Katrina's in the hot seat for these interviews. She's actually asking the questions. So
it's true. Oh my God, you're right. I didn't even. It's true. I am the interviewer. It's wild, you guys. It's wild. If nothing else, tune in to see what I'm like as an interviewer. I was like, when I did the first one, it was so awkward for me just to be the interviewer, and I was like, James is usually the person that's like corralling this crazy ass party that we've got going on here. And it was like, I was like waiting for you to come tell me what to do. It's so weird. But yes, come listen to me, put on my big girl pants and be in the interviewer seat while I interview my clients.
Yeah, this could be great material and people should get a lot out of it. I just want to say, if you listen to those episodes, either the first one or the 10th one, please leave a comment or let us know what you think. Maybe like a little nugget you found in that episode, or what has inspired you to do. Or as Katrina says, you can get in contact with Katrina many ways through her website or through links in the show notes or LinkedIn, whatever it is. Keep us abreast of what you think.
Keep us abreast of what you think. I love that. And leave a review if you haven't done that yet. And encourage us to do more of these because
we need some reviews.
We might.
We need some.
If you guys love it, we will find a way to bring it back later on in the year or maybe early next year.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So we'll see you, the listeners and the watchers, for the first episode of the summer series on July the 1st. And if you're Canadian, happy Canada Day on July 1st.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, James.
Catch ya.
Want to leave the rat race behind? Come check out Breakspace. It's a new community for current and aspiring career breakers and sabbatical takers, just like you, who are ready for a life-changing experience. Breakspace is a one-of-a-kind launchpad with hands-on coaching, dynamic courses, and genuine connection. Don't go it alone. Visit breakspacecrew.com to see what all the hype is about.